Okay, so I thought to myself, what are the things that I practically, like, if I was going to put my house on the market next week, this month, coming up very soon, what would I be doing? And I made a whole list for you guys here. There are quite a few things that I would do. And then we're also going to share, though, at the very end, things that you do not want to do or things that we wouldn't do ourselves or maybe advise you to do as real estate professionals, because I think a lot of times sellers tend to go into this like perfectionism or over updating mode. And there definitely are things that are like, that would actually be kind of a waste of money and isn't the best use of your money in this instance to get the most out of your home when selling it. So,
and coming from my stance of things, I mean, the audience might not know this, is, Mariah, why do you think it's important to use a seller's agent, that listing agent, this person with the sign in the yard? Why is it important to reach out to them?
Instead of just like, when you're buying or
selling,
and when you're selling, instead of selling it for sell by owner.
Yeah, because we're currently prepping to put your house for sale today, right?
Yes.
Why is it important to reach out to a real estate professional and maybe have them represent you and facilitate that sale? I know for me, I got started in my business working with for sale by owners, and you work with a lot of for sale by owners even now to this day. And so because of that, we've had the opportunity to see firsthand how bad these sellers need a real estate professional. This is not something you want to try to just wing or do on your own. I know there's a statistic out there that says like, I can't remember the percentage, but homes that are sold for sell by owner sell for a certain percent less than when they're listed. And I know the reason you're doing for sell by owner is to try to save money, but you need a professional. Like, we have seen some horror stories, and that's not what today's video is about, but it is important. It's very important. Well, I let me drive home the point though you just made. And it's because I literally have these conversations, I would say every other day. If it's not through a text message, it's through a phone call or a phone call back. And it's so accurate. You being a for sale by owner, trying to sell your home, for instance, on your own without any representation in real estate, you are losing a percentage of the sale. Whether you're underselling, cutting yourself short, or just receiving an offer from a real estate professional, a buyer's agent, and you giving them 2.5% of the commission because they gave you the offer and that's what they stated they needed. At the end of the day, you usually are missing out to 7 to 9% of the sale versus when you were to list with an agent. And so that's why, like, just the simple conversation of reaching out to a real estate professional, it could be benefiting you. And that's my number one go-to is, hey, did you know on average I'm making my clients 6.5% more than they would be being for sale by owner? I think that's worth a conversation to be had. And whether you've had a bad listing experience or not, the real estate world's different. I mean, and I think you can agree. I mean, really, it's different within the last year, right? The real estate game, the seller's market, the marketing tactics, the online presences, it's unbelievable how much drastically different it is a year ago from today.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. Things have definitely changed and think they're going to continue to. So, okay, should we get into these?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I think you'd agree with this one, if we were to sell our house, is have the carpets steam cleaned. This is something, it can make a really big difference, and it's not super expensive. It's not like going out and just replacing all your carpets. It's a lot more cost effective, and I wouldn't recommend just going out and replacing floors because odds are the buyers are going to want something different than whatever you put in there anyway, and you're going to think it raises the price by such a big amount, and like, honestly, just don't do that.
Yeah, and if you are on the fence with that, just invite the realtor in and ask them the question, because, you know, there are certain circumstances, scenarios, and then square footage as well. You got to realize the area you are doing a replacement in or the condition. I mean, a steam clean isn't going to fix all and end all.
No.
So I do agree with that, though. It can definitely help, especially the appeal, but also smells.
Yeah,
we have no idea
odors.
the amount of odor that gets trapped inside of your carpets. It sometimes can be really disgusting if you look at it.
No, it's true. Even if you're maybe you've had like smoke in your house or a smoker's been there, I don't think it this alone takes out the smell 100%, but it definitely can help with smoke smells. Okay, the second thing I would do, so I would reorganize cupboards. Here's the thing. When your house is on the market, buyers are going to be opening your cupboards, whether you like it or not. I know that feels and sounds like an invasion of your privacy, but when your house is for sale, like I know for me, if I was going to buy a house, I want to see how deep the cupboard is. I want to know like what the storage space is like. So I would reorganize, because it doesn't mean you have to have perfect organization in every closet, cupboard, drawer, but I would definitely do a little bit of reorganizing, especially if you have like a junk drawer. I know if you open my cupboards and saw where my towels are folded, I'm just not the best at making towels. I really struggle to look good when they're put away. So I would do something about that.
Yeah, a little bit of organization in the closets, make sure things are on hangers, that type of thing. Pick up the clothes that's been on the floor for how many months in those closet spaces. Yeah. Sometimes it is easier just to organize it. It's going to take you, an evening out of your day to do it, but I think it is worth it.
But again, there are times, from being an agent that works with so many buyers, when you're showing houses that you'll walk through and they'll open a closet and it's like, or every closet, and it's like, oh, because it's just filled with stuff. And I think a big reason is because the sellers actually did a good job of decluttering the home, or just like getting things out of the main living space, and that was their only spot is the closet. So I understand that if that's your situation you're in, if it's like the only spot and your house is on the market, it's better than having it all out and about. Okay, the next thing is touch up any chipping paint.
Yeah, this is even I'm guilty of this one. I got chip paint throughout the house. You get
I know
kids,
it really bothers
the walls.
me. Yeah.
Usually there's always like an extra gallon of paint somewhere in your garage, right? So go through, put it over that chip paint area, smooth it out if you need to, and then blend it if it's really, really bad. But I would definitely make sure all your touch-up work's done, and that includes baseboards too. I know you might not want to do it. Nobody likes painting baseboards. Nobody likes putting tape down. Maybe get that professional in there, the handyman, and just knock it out in a day, because it really does make a difference when your home is fully painted and there's really no imperfections. Because vacuums, for instance, they bang up these doorways, the door jambs all the time, and so if you can make them wide again, it definitely gives a better appearance for your home.
If I was going to put my house on the market, I would do a massive declutter and just donate, sell, get rid of whatever it is.
This is more of a personality trait for you, though.
Okay, it is a personality trait, because I love getting rid of things, and I'm so good at it. Like, I am no hoarder here. I get rid of everything.
Claims she's a minimalist, but
I kind of am. Okay. But I would get rid of things and it would feel so good. But for real, this is something that I always tell sellers to do before they put their home on the market, is if there is anything that you are not going to want to take with you to your next home, before you even put your home on the market, get rid of it now. Go through your house and declutter those things, because there's no reason to have it in your house while it's listed. It definitely makes your house just look and feel better when there's not all this clutter.
Yeah, show off all the spaces you currently have. The more square footage feeling, the better.
Yes. Okay. The next thing is have your house professionally cleaned. Obviously, you don't have to do this. This is just like a little tip, something that we've done when we've had previous homes that were our residential living spaces for sale on the market, is right before, maybe like the day before you put it on the market, or a week before, or whatever, right before you get those listing photos done. Yeah, right before picture day for your home, and we'll let you know when that is. We can work with you on that. Have it professionally cleaned. And the reason I love doing this right before the selling process is because obviously, as you're, and this is if some people have, someone come in routinely, and if you do, then that's, maybe a different scenario. But if this is maybe for someone who, like, if you're not, regularly having someone clean your house.
Oh, I got one house I got under contract right now, and the appraisal's going to happen. There's a reappraisal because of the home's condition and the current safety hazards it did have. But this home, as a visual appearance, the inspector literally came through. He's like, oh my gosh. So once you get...
Wait, in a good way?
In a bad way.
Oh, no.
Once you get a bad impression of maybe like dirt, cobwebs, whatever it may be, you can never really get that first impression back. And so that's why I really do love a good home cleaning. It is one thing that I do recommend you guys do. When you are getting ready to sell your house, list your house, take photos, whenever the timeline is, get it professionally cleaned. Some people even do it twice, before the listing happens, but then after it's under contract. So you move out and then you get another professional cleaning, because we all know what's been under those couches for 10 years, guys. We know what's behind those headboards in the bedrooms. Dust, clutter, and just nasty stuff you've forgotten about for years.
It's true.
So
it's true.
Part of that's just taking care of business and kind of doing the right thing at the end of a transaction too, though.
I feel like having somebody, just do a professional, super deep clean before you get it on the market helps the upkeep, because obviously when it's listed, especially if it's listed for a while before it sells, you have to still, upkeep it and clean it and routinely, but it definitely helps make things just a lot easier, I think. And yeah, you are supposed to clean your house before, I think it's like the right thing to do before you sell, when you're selling it, before the buyer moves in.
Please leave your rugs clean.
But a lot of times sellers don't. And I get it, because a lot of times they're in situations when they're like trying to meet a deadline to get out by 5 p.m. and there's got to be at their next house and they have kids. And so I get it. It's a lot. But it's, as a buyer, it's not ever a bad idea to ask the sellers to have a professional come in before closing anyway. Like, that's not a bad idea. Okay. A lot of agents don't do that or think about it, but honestly, I think it's a great
awesome when it happens.
Tip.
My clients have always been happy at the end of the day when that does happen.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I would do is, let's talk about exterior for a minute. I would have a landscaping day. You don't need to have anything professionally done if you don't want to. Don't stress out about that. But right before you get it on the market, right before you have listing photos done, spend some time getting the yard as nice and cleaned up as you can. Pull the weeds, whatever minimal. We're not all landscapers here. I'm no landscaper, that's for sure. But it's whatever
get your hands dirty.
You're capable of doing, just the minimal, pressure wash the outside of your home. That goes a long way. Something we don't really notice until it's time to put your house on the market. And it's like, oh, there's cobwebs outside. Like, let's take a good look at your front door. Let's pressure wash it, clean it, get any, add some decor maybe if you have any, that type of thing.
And just to clarify, Mariah, would you be doing any of this stuff?
No, I would do the interior. I would do the decluttering. I would do all of that. The interior. You would be doing the outside.
Spencer,
yes,
this is your job, and you go do it. So us men, sometimes, if that's your position in the relationship, you just got to do it. And it all comes down to first impressions. I think that's why curb appeal really does mean a lot.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean you need to go out and get brand new bark dust. I know it's like one of those things. I always want to get new bark dust because, yes, it is right. Garden beds look better when they're full of good bark dust. But with a good, nice raking and an edging and then de-weeding, you can go a long ways. And bark dust, it is quite expensive at times. And it's not fun to work with as well. You get a lot of splinters. And it's time consuming, I would suggest. So do the simple things that you can take care of. The leaves, rake them. The yard, edge it, mow it. If you have overgrown trees and bushes, maybe clip them so they're not put up against the house or just looking overgrown, or even like... some people live in mature neighborhoods. Get your trees trimmed. So say a limb's falling out over the house, maybe, trim that limb down, because it is a hazard that in the future it will come up that needs to be fixed. So anything you can do preventatively, but then also visually, that's simple. Okay. Don't go out there taking and spending money. Do the things that you can do on a weekend. Okay. And it could take you 5, 7, 6 hours on a Saturday or Sunday. So that's one thing to consider. I do think that is pretty important. If you don't have a pressure washer, get your hose out, spray your house off. And then maybe everybody's got a car scrubber, right? Scrub some spots on the house that you've seen over time. And then one thing, gutters. I do want to mention, gutters, you want to just clean them out, make sure there's no leaves in the gutters so the drainage is properly being performed in the rain seasons, because sometimes people do just sell in the summer, springtime. And depending on what area you live in, there's really no fault of rain. So you don't know if there's a roof leak or not at that time period when the inspections are being performed. But what I can tell you is an inspector is going to ask you, or a buyer is going to ask you, hey, make sure your gutters are properly draining. And if they're not properly draining, odds are they're cluttered with leaves and dirt and moss. So just get it cleaned up during that yard day.
That's good. That's good. I didn't think about that. But yes. Okay. So this last thing that you're going to want to do, you might not think about, but you're going to want to, if you have kept them, gather up your receipts from anything that you have done to the home, assuming you've done some things throughout the years, whether that's you fixed a window, you replaced the water heater, whatever things that you've had done to the home throughout your time living there, gather those receipts. And if you don't have the receipts, I always love it. It's not every day that a seller does this, but when they do, I always find it really helpful. You can write out. I love it when a seller will just have this typed out and they'll leave it on like the kitchen counter or something for the showings. Yes, the list. They'll write out the list of all the things that they've done or had done to the house while they've lived there. And I just think it's such a great thing to be able to give to buyers. I know if I was buying a house, it would be really assuring to be able to see, okay, so I know like the roof was last replaced in 2015 and this was last replaced. Again, not everyone's going to be able to do this and not everyone's going to have things they've actually done. But if you have, then that's good to do. So now, what are some things that we would not recommend doing? Don't replace your countertops or your cabinets.
Well, it does depend on the value, area you live in price you're wanting to get out of a home. That's always in the topic of discussion.
Unless this is like a flip situation.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking like this is your house, you've lived here, you're selling it. And this isn't, again, this is a reason why it's so important to have a realtor come out and talk to you. If you need a realtor, contact us. We would love to help you if you're in Oregon. If you're not in Oregon, contact us and we'll set you up with a solid realtor where you're at. But
one of my pet peeves though is when I walk into a listing consultation and the buyer, seller has already had a meeting with another individual, but the meeting went completely opposite the way it goes with me. It's because the seller has this mindset of, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that.
Like a meeting with another realtor. Yes.
And because this realtor, for whatever reason, told them, yeah, you need to replace carpets. Yeah, you need to paint the inside of your house and exterior. This window, this is a aluminum window. It needs to be replaced too. And it's like, why are we making these repair lists of metaphorical processes that you don't even know if you're going to get the value out of this home for? That's one problem where I see it as an ethical issue for me to subconsciously tell somebody to go spend money, tens of thousands of dollars at times, and then their home hasn't even sold. Now there also are circumstances where, this is necessary, but at the end of the day, I just don't see it where you need to be spending tens of thousands of dollars just to get your home ready to sell. Now, there are conversations to be had if you want to get certain amounts that are realistic in your property to be in certain conditions. But that is a serious discussion that you need to understand the liabilities that come across with that as well. But for the majority, when I've had those conversations, sellers just think that this realtor's top notch because they've demanded that they do all these things.
Yes.
And it's I don't really think that realtor was in the right to do that.
And I think that's why some realtors do it, because they need to feel like they're valuable, or they feel like it's making them seem more professional, or maybe they really believe themselves, honestly, and they think all these things need to happen. But I totally agree with you. Couldn't agree more. So, all right. Well, we will.
What do you agree about?
Not over updating and not telling. What do you think I was going to say?
I don't know. I just thought you were agreeing with me to agree with me.
Oh, no. I completely agree. So anyway, anything else you just want to add?
No, man. No,
okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us today. If you grab value from today's video, hit the thumbs up button and we'll see you next week.